Hi, Jesse with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and installing the Blue Ox base plate with removable arms on this 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. The base plate is one of the 5 main components when setting up your vehicle for flat towing. It's going to be the physical link that connects to your tow bars, which then connect to your motorhome. We normally like to set everything up, get it all hooked up to the motorhome, and just show you how everything works. But unfortunately, our neighbor today, they were unable to bring us their motorhome, so we're just going to be focusing on the base plate. Now I'll talk a little bit about the other 4 main components when flat towing a vehicle, starting with the tow bars. Those will connect here to the base plate and then connect to the motorhome. Those are just your physical link between the two. Next will be your safety cables. Those will hook up here on these loops and then to the motorhome. Those are just there in case of a catastrophic disconnect. They're your last resort to hold everything together. Then your braking system, that's going to send a signal from the motorhome to the vehicle, and that's going to allow you to come to a nice safe stop by using the vehicle's brakes. Last will be diode wiring. And that's just there to send a signal from the taillights of the motorhome to the rear of the vehicle, just to signal to other drivers and allow them to see you. Now for a closer look at our base plate here, as you can see, it's not super intrusive. It's honestly a pretty clean look. We just had to cut a hole on each side for this portion of the base plate to stick out. And for when you're not flat towing the vehicle, you'll just take this arm, pull the pin out, quarter turn, and that's a really clean look just like that. Then when you're ready to hook up, same thing, slide it in, quarter turn, and that pin will lock into place. As far as the install goes, it's fairly difficult. You do have to remove the fascia in a few pieces and do some cutting of the lower bumper. So if this isn't something that you're looking to tackle yourself, feel free to check out our dealer locator. If you are looking to do this yourself, or you just want to see how it's done, then feel free to follow along this video and I'll show you how we set up ours. So to get this fascia removed, our first step is to remove 2 T15 screws that are just holding this handle in. And I'll set this handle aside. And then we'll move on to removing these 10 push pins that are holding this top panel in. You can use a screwdriver or a trim panel tool. I'll remove the last piece and take this top panel off and set it aside. Now we have 4 bolts holding the top of our grill on. In the instructions it says they're 7mm, however we have 10mm bolts. So remove all 4 of those. Now we have 4 T15 screws holding the bumper to the wheel well liner here. That'll be our next step to remove those. Once you have those 4 removed, the instructions do say to pull this wheel well liner out to access 3 screws up here in the bumper, but I'm actually going to get those from the top through the engine bay. We're looking down now through the engine bay. There's 3 black screws. It's going to be hard to get the camera and a tool in there, so I just wanted to show you before. But that's what they look like. And I have a long extension on a 7mm socket. You may want to grab a wobble socket too. And once we've removed that last of the 3 screws, we'll repeat that process on the other side. Now with the help of my friend Joe here, we're ready to remove the fascia. We're just going to work our way around, pop out these clips. I have this black bracket, I'll just set it on the tire for now. This whole thing's just going to be clipped in all the way around. Everything should just pop out. There we go. And then set your fascia aside for now. We have three 10mm bolts. There's going to be one on each side and then one in the middle. We'll remove those now. Now we're going to remove this upper grill piece here. Once those three bolts are removed, it should just snap out. So once again, I'll start on one side, carefully pop these clips out. And this top piece should lift up. As you're working your way around, you want to make sure these top pieces are lifted up because they like to pop back in place. Looks like we have a washer fluid hose. You'll see it's kind of oval on the sides that stick out. You should just have to squeeze it to release the clip. And then it should pull out. So I got the help of a friend here to hold the fascia up. We have this clip that we need to unplug. Just stuck a screwdriver in there to push the pin. Once we unplugged that and got the wires unclipped, we'll just pull that off and set it aside. And we have 7 push pin fasteners to remove. There'll be 4 here on the driver's side under this flap and 3 on the passenger side. And once again, I just have a screwdriver to remove those. And we'll get all those removed. Once we have this last fastener removed, we're going to take this piece, get it out of our way. With that rubber piece out of our way, we have 2 18mm bolts, one on each side. On the passenger side, we have this plug that we need to undo. Just pop that red tab back, push in your pin, and it should slide out. It's also clipped here. Just pop that clip out. Just hang that there so it comes off with the bumper. Here under the vehicle, we have a 15mm bolt that we're going to remove. There's one on the driver's side and another on the passenger side. So we just have 2 18mm bolts holding this bumper in from the top, one on each side. Set that other bolt aside. I'll completely remove this bolt. So it looks like we do have 4 10mm bolts that were not in the instructions that are holding us on. Right now the bumper's resting on the tow hooks, so it should be safe to remove these. Now, I believe we have all the bolts removed that we needed to. This bumper should just wiggle off of here. You just have to wiggle it straight out away from the tow hooks. Then we'll set this aside. With everything removed from the front end here, we have 3 bolts. I'm just going to loosen these up, but first I'm going to I'm just going to circle them. That way when we go to reinstall it, it makes it easier to line everything up. These are 15mm bolts. I'm just going to loosen these up. I'm not going to remove it all the way. I'm just getting it out of the way. Now we have 2 18mm bolts. This one here does not go all the way through. It has a weld nut on the other side. This one, however, does go all the way through, so you'll need to use a wrench on the other side. Slide that bolt out. Remove the other one. Both those bolts removed, we just have a Christmas tree push pin fastener. Pop that out, slide that out, and set it aside. Now we'll take our base plate here, and I'll make sure I have the passenger side. This angle is going to go down, and your safety cable loop will be on the inside. And your slotted hole is going to line up with this hole here. I have to slide this long bolt through. And then also get 3 washers on to act as a shim. So just try to get that lined up with the hole. Slide it through, and we're just going to leave that loose for now. Now I have 2 bolts handy. It's going to be the shorter bolt lock washer and a washer over that. I'll lift this up into place. I'm just going to slide these 2 bolts in just for now, just to hold everything in place, and then I'll repeat that on the other side. And we're going to take a bolt to put up through this middle hole in the bottom, and that's going to be bolt lock washer. And then each bolt we install today is going to receive a dab of Loctite. So we'll put that bolt through, and then a washer on top. Then take your whiz nut and thread that bolt on. Now with a 3/4 inch socket, just gonna zip this down. Now we have a 1/2 inch drill bit. We need to drill a hole so that we can fit a bolt through this back hole on the passenger side, and then again on the driver's side. Line up. I'm just using the base plate as my template. Now that we have that hole drilled, I can go ahead and insert the bolts. I'll add some Loctite. Get the whiz nut started, and then I will go ahead and tighten down each bolt that we've installed and make sure everything has Loctite on it. Now on these rear bolts that we originally just slid in, we have a washer and a plastic lock nut. That's a 3/4 inch socket, just like the rest of them. Slide your washer on. And you'll need a wrench on the bolts. Now with our torque wrench, we're going to torque all the bolts to the specification listed in the instructions. Once we get all of them torqued, while the fascia is still off the vehicle, it's a good time to do any trimming that you might need to do, and also install any other flat toe components that you have. Our base plate is installed. However, just for safety, we need to add these safety cables. These are here in case of a catastrophic disconnect, if any of the components that we installed today do end up falling out. I'll show you how I routed mine. I came up, pushed it through this hole in the frame rail, then came out this forward hole, and then connected it using this quick connect here. So we got the bumper here. We do need to enlarge these tow hook holes to fit our base plate. In the instructions it says to just cut around here and just basically cutting this spot out. So I'll start here, and I have a multi-tool. You could use a Dremel or something like that. So now I've got it roughly cut out. I'll come back through, clean this up, but first I'm going to mock it up and make sure everything fits right. Now that we've got the fascia put back on, Everything looks really clean. I like the way it turned out. We didn't have to do any additional cutting. We had no fitment issues. So that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the Blue Ox base plate with removable arms on our 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 1500.